Today we're going to talk about building a circuit breaker for managing circular reference in Excel. But before we do that, let's talk about why we create circular references. Circular references are most commonly found in the calculation of interest expense. Let's look at a simple model below. Here's a company with 100 million of EBITDA, 5 times debt to EBITDA of leverage, which gives us a beginning of period debt balance of 500 million. Here we simply calculate interest expense as the 8% coupon on debt times the beginning of period debt balance, which gives us an interest expense of 40 million. Back out the 34 of taxes, Capex, and net working capital. This leaves us with 26 million of cash available for debt paydown. Back that 26 out of the 500 beginning period to get to an end of period debt balance of 474 million. Now, in highly leveraged scenarios such as an LBO or a levered M&A transaction, companies will choose to pay down their debt throughout the year with the cash flow available for debt paydown. So the company's not paying interest expense on the beginning of period 500 million throughout the year. So in a sense, the 40 million overstates the amount of interest expense the company would pay. So in order to capture this, let's look at another example. Here we've got the same company, but what we're going to do is calculate interest expense as the 8% coupon times the average of the beginning of period debt balance and the end of period debt balance. And here you can see we've created a circularity, which is that the interest expense relies on the end of period debt balance, but the end of period debt balance is a function of the interest expense. So here's where we create our circularity. And you can see the 39 million of interest expense is slightly lower than the 40 million we calculated in the prior example. So let's see how this might look in a typical model you would build. Here's the same company with 100 of EBITDA, the 39 of interest expense. Now let's say you're working through multiple scenarios and you make an error. So the model begins to pound value out or ref out. First thing you want to do is correct the error. But still, the model is pound valued or pound refed out. What you could do is you could just delete the interest expense line, reset it, F9, and then fill the line back in, and you're humming. Another thing you can do, particularly when you're running multiple scenarios, is create a circuit breaker. So here we're going to use a simple if statement. So we'll have circularity on if the switch is 1 and off if it's 0. So here in interest expense, we're going to say if circuit breaker is 1, so circularity is on, make sure that's an absolute reference. If it's on, run the circular interest expense. If not, let's do the simple method, beginning of period times the 8% coupon. Okay, so copy this guy over. Now, if you make an error, pound value out. Again, we want to fix the error first. Still no luck. So let's turn the circularity off, clear the model, turn it back on. And there you have it. That's a circuit breaker for your integrated model. Now, a couple of advanced topics to think about. Sometimes a model will inexplicably just not work. Best thing to do for that is to delete the interest expense line and retype your formula. That also helps you keep track of what you're doing. Another complicating factor can be data tables. Sometimes when data tables run through a model, you'll have to clear the data table in order to get the model to run again. So just beware of that, particularly if data tables are off on the side. So with that, enjoy your circuit breaker and your circular references.